How do you make the time to learn English? You have the drive, you have the motivation, but you just do not have the time. You have a full-time job, you have a lot of assignment from your university, you have a family, just how? In this video, I want to give you 3 things that you can do to solve this problem. Number 1 is to find dead time. So dead time is that kind of time that you have to spend to do something, but unproductively. So it's kind of like you're doing some activities, but your mind is not really engaged in doing it. For example, it's like when you're ironing, or when you're running, or when you're stuck in traffic, or when you're commuting, something like that. These are dead times. So you can use this time throughout your day to actually try to get more exposure to English. So when you're ironing, you can do that while you're listening to a podcast. Or let's say if you're running on a treadmill, you can run while you watch Netflix on your phone. When you're cooking, you can listen to English songs and try to listen carefully. Or maybe getting stuck in traffic for 2 hours, you can use that time to do some little grammar exercises from Nylingua's Instagram. So this dead time you can use to get passive exposure. But there's a catch. This is just passive exposure. Just because you're using these dead time to get exposure doesn't mean that you're going to see a huge progress in your English. You actually have to pair your passive exposure time to English to deliberate study time to really see progress. So taking advantage of your dead time is a great way to get more exposure to English as a start. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm already doing that consistently, but still my English isn't improving, because getting passive exposure in these small increments of time is just a piece of the puzzle. You also have to study it actively to really see progress. But this is a great start for you busy people who just need to find the time to start. Number 2 is to make the time. To make the time for something means to prioritize, means that you choose to do one thing over another because this one thing is just more important to your life right now. I want to tell you a story about one of my subscribers who I recently had a chat with. Let's just call her Krisa. I wish I could share the conversation video I had with her, but for privacy reasons, I'm not going to do that because I've already sworn to protect the privacy of my subscribers as well. So I'm just gonna use a fake name, but I'm gonna tell the real story that I had with her. So Krisa is an English teacher. She teaches in a high school or a middle school, I actually don't remember, but she doesn't feel as confident in her English yet. She wants to inspire her students. She wants to teach her students well, but she's just not at a level where she's happy with herself. She's not confident, basically. Then she asked me, what do? I literally do not have time to improve my English. I work full time. When I come back home, I have to do chores. I have to bring home some work sometimes, and I just get so tired, and of course I have to rest, this and that. And this is a common problem for a lot of people. Sometimes when you come back home, you just do not have time or energy to do that, right? So I asked her to walk me through her day hour by hour. And then she told me, I go home at 3 p.m. and then at home I have to do chores. I have to wash the dishes, wash my clothes, cook, clean, etc. And then I get a little tired, so I want to have a rest. After that, I go to sleep to wake up for the next morning. And then I ask her, what time do you sleep and what time do you wake up? I sleep at 8 p.m. and I wake up at 5 a.m. So that's 9 hours of sleep. So I saw the problem. The problem is that she sleeps too much. So with her current schedule, of course, she just doesn't have time, but she has to make the time. That means letting go of other activities that are just not as important in her life, such as that extra 2 hours of sleep. Because sure, every person is different, but on average, we can function with just 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep. So if she decides to make that switch, she's going to win that extra 1 to 2 hours a day to actually improve her English. And if she maintains the schedule for 3, 4, or even 6 months, she's going to see a huge improvement in her English. And of course, if she uses the right method as well. So this switch could just be temporary for 3 to 6 months. So after 3 to 6 months, and she sees that her English is at a level where she's happy, then maybe she could come back to the old habit of sleeping for 9 hours. But if you decide to make something a priority, then you just have to sacrifice something that is not as important in your life. So that's what it means when you make time. And how can you do this to your life? You probably would have to audit your life first. What are the things that you do every day? And you kind of have to rank it based on how important it is. And based on that, you have to make a decision what activities that you just have to let go of so you can actually have space and have the time in your life to actually do things that are important for you. Number 3 is to replace your existing habit. Replacing your existing habit doesn't actually require you to make the time or to sacrifice or anything, but basically all of the things that you're already doing now, just switch that to English. So if you're so used to watching pranks in Indonesian, then switch that to English. So if you're used to scrolling on your Instagram and then you see a lot of these Indonesian influencers with like really long Indonesian caption, then switch that to English. So find more English speaking influencers so that when you scroll mindlessly on your Instagram, you can still get exposed. I say this so much, but this simple switch is going to make a huge difference to create an environment that is immersive in your life, even though you do not live in an English speaking country. YouTube now has an option to auto translate subtitles, so literally any video on YouTube that has a CC, of course, you can watch them with Indonesian subtitles if you still do not understand English. And those of you who are probably thinking, I'm already doing all of these, why is my English not improving still? Again, I'm going to repeat, this is just one piece of the puzzle. There's passive exposure and there's deliberate learning. And having just one of this is not enough. You have to combine them together. So you get the passive exposure, but you still have to make the time to learn and study deliberately. But what if you really, really do not have the time? Let's say you wake up at 5 to get to work at 8 and then you come back home from work around 9 p.m. Then in that case, you have a bigger problem to solve than your English skills. That's a life problem. Then maybe you have to look into your work-life balance or finding a job that is a little closer, or maybe a boss that doesn't require you to work overtime. I don't know. I'm not a life coach, so I can't really give you a sound advice. So if you are in this situation, I'm so sorry I cannot give you a sound advice because it's beyond the scope of my expertise. And of course, I do not know your situation. But really, if you're in the situation, respect. So yes, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you get something out of it. And I want to wish you Merry Christmas for those of you guys who celebrate, because it's Christmas tomorrow by the time this video is up. And I will see you next week in another video, and have a good evening and bye-bye.